If I blindfolded you and stuck you into this car, then opened your eyes, you'd probably say you're inside a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, and you'd be close. This is the current generation Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and everything that's been done to this car, the details, the tech, etc., makes it feel like it's an S-Class, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons why it's a finalist for 2025 Car of the Year. This comes in two variants. You get an avant-garde version of this as well as an AMG line. Exhibit A is an AMG line. So bumpers are done up, AMG styling, aggressively styled, but they're not too aggressively done. The one thing I like about this vehicle is the detail. So you do get your three-pointed star emblem in the front as well as the grille, which is littered with all these stars. Now at night, the grille lights up and it just looks spectacular. Let's talk about running gear here. The wheels on this car look really nice. They've done a good job here, but these aren't the standard wheels. Standard here is 19-inch wheels. You can upgrade that as an optional extra to 20 inches or 21 inches. These are the ones. Moving over to the side, these door handles are retractable door handles. These can go in or they can pop out. I've mostly seen this in Chinese vehicles, but the Germans are doing it too now. And the only difference between the two is quality. These feel like they were built to last. Too much chrome is always tacky, but when it's done just right, it looks classy. This is an AMG variant and everything is blacked out from the front to the windowsills, but you do get this chrome strip here that looks very classy, as well as these chrome tips for exhaust. But there's nothing here. Now, the focal point in the rear here are these tail lights. It's all about the little details in an E-Class. You've got the three-pointed star built into the tail lights, and at night, these just glow in the dark. Now, let's have a look at what's going on in here, right? It is electronic, which is nice for this kind of money. You also get yourself 540 liters of boot space. It doesn't come with a spare, rather it comes with a tire repair kit. You can fit a set of golf clubs here or two, and should you need more space, there's no heavy lifting in here. You simply push a button and it folds flat. That is tech. Now, I want to show you all the tech that is in this car. Come with me. Sitting here, I'm just seeing screens galore in this car. Firstly, you get yourself an instrument cluster that's a screen, a digital screen, and you can configure this any which way you want to see different views, etc., etc. And next to that is an infotainment system. This is very different from what we've seen in the C-Class, for instance, with the tablet-style infotainment screen. This is built into the dash and it does everything you need to do, settings, media, you name it. Now, the party trick is the screen next to that. The passenger also gets a screen in this vehicle, and that literally allows them to go into all the settings, be it volume, media, navigation. They can do it all there. The vehicle also has a camera, and initially I thought they were spying on me, but this does a whole host of things. Firstly, driver monitoring if you're falling asleep, etc. That can spot you and warn you. It also does the whole gesture control thing if you want to control the vehicle, volume, changing tracks. A bit gimmicky, I haven't tried it, but it's there. The other thing you can do in this generation of people that love selfies and videos and doing that sort of stuff is you can do it through that camera. So you can take selfies. As long as the car is stationary, it does that. Personalization, the vehicle can recognize different faces. So when you come into the car, it literally configures the entire car to your settings. Seating position, aircon, you name it, it's here. The one thing I like about this interior is that they didn't go for the gloss black finish that you sometimes find in like the C-Class. That is prone to scratches. This is a plasticky finish, but it looks like wood grain and it does the trick. It does have a Burmeister audio system and it kicks. The one thing Mercedes-Benz has done in this car, which is rather odd, is they fitted a subwoofer into the seat. So the two front seats, as you're driving along, listening to your music or listening to the radio, you literally feel a thumping on your back. And it may seem like a cool feature, but I think over time, it's something that really gets tiresome. And I'm sure that somewhere in these settings, you can turn it off. If you can't, it's a problem. So let's talk about the driving end of things in this Mercedes-Benz E200. Now, standard, it comes with an adaptive suspension, which is to be expected. You know, you go into sport mode, it stiffens up. You go into comfort, it softens up. However, as an option, you can get this with adaptive air suspension, which I think is really, really nice. And it's a feature you want to have in this kind of car. You can actually feel it as you drive. It glides along, especially on the open road. It just feels not too wafty like you would find in, say, an S-Class or BMW 7 Series, which I've driven, but it also just has the gliding effect. With the active air suspension, you can raise and lower the vehicle. That does help, especially if you need to go over bumps, need to get over driveways, etc. You've got that. And I think what makes it even better is that when going through windy roads like I'm driving in now, you can approach bends at really decent speeds and it just literally stiffens up. You're able to go through and get out on the other end. So that adaptive air suspension really, really does a lot for you as a driver. It comes with a 2-liter petrol turbo engine, but it also has Mercedes-Benz's mild hybrid system. What does that mean? It's got a 48 volts battery, so unlike many other mild hybrids, this is really mild. It does work, and it works specifically when it comes to fuel economy. So I see a very, very big difference in fuel economy. It's a petrol, it's a turbocharged engine, it's a big car, but on the open road, I'm averaging in the 6s in this kind of vehicle, and it works superbly. You don't feel the switch between the mild hybrid system and the engine. Also, when you start the vehicle up, because it's got that 48 volt system, it doesn't start up like a normal vehicle and crank. It just idles out of nowhere. The engine coupled with the 48 volt system produces what? 167 kilowatts and 320 Newton meters of torque, which for everyday driving, everyday use is enough. I haven't once felt insufficiently powered in the E200, so that's really, really good. The one thing that I would highly recommend you add to your Mercedes-Benz E-Class or the C-Class when you're speccing it is the adaptive cruise control option with lane keep assist. What that does is it creates for an effortless drive, especially on the open road. The car just drives itself. It keeps the distance between you and the car in front of you, and the braking of your vehicle, the acceleration of your vehicle when a gap presents itself is so smooth, you don't even perceive it. It actually feels like you're driving the car yourself. And if you go to other brands of vehicles with the same systems, they're not anywhere near as refined as you would get in here. In those cars, you can feel the car braking when there's a vehicle in front of you or accelerating to get back to speed. So I would really, really recommend you check that box when you buy a new car. Now, my interest was very piqued when I was going into this review, simply because I've driven the direct competitor to this vehicle, the BMW 5 Series. That comes in at around 1.2 million Rand, and this is about 100 grand more expensive than that, 1.3-ish. Granted, with this specific unit, you're probably looking at something closer to 2 million Rand with all the optional extras. And after having spent a few days in this, I sort of see why it costs more. But is it enough to clinch the title of South African Car of the Year 2025? I don't know. We'll see.
Welcome back to Ignition GT. After spending a couple of days behind the wheel of the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, Gugu came away thoroughly impressed. Is it once again a segment leader, and crucially, does it have the makings of a Car of the Year winner? Gentlemen, well, let's actually break it down. E-Class. I'm going to start with you, Alan, again. You drove it. What were your impressions of the car overall?
The new E, which is very recently launched, actually takes me back to the W123, W124 era, where it really stood out.
Yeah.
And that was almost before BMW quite got to that level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. So when really, if you saw someone driving an E-Class Mercedes, he's someone who has made it in the world.
Yeah.
And this one really reminded me of that.
With this current generation of cars, there's actually no mistaking this E-Class for a C, which
Yeah.
I think is very important. I prefer the more traditional grille, like the one that we have here in the picture. I'm not a fan of the avant-garde grille with the big badge in the middle.
And the
Yeah.
three-pointed stars.
Yeah, and really that illuminated grille frame for me
Not
is
for
like
you.
the height of tackiness. I I can certainly do without that. But for the rest, I think it is really, as you said, an elegant looking car, very classy, and in the right color with the right wheels. I think suitably understated, but at the same time making a statement.
Yeah.
For a couple of years now, Mercedes interiors have kind of lacked that sense of occasion that you expect from a car costing, well in excess of 1.5 million rand. And I think that is something that Mercedes have very successfully addressed.
Let's go into how it drives, Alan. And in conclusion, is it then, a worthy car of the year winner?
I love the drive on it. I must be honest. Okay, it's an E200. It's not an AMG. It's not a performance model. Don't think so. I mean, 150 odd kilowatts is not nothing, but it's a big car.
Yeah.
But it is a car that cruises like you can't believe. It's got a feel-good factor. That's the words I like to use.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you kind of lift your nose up a little bit while you're driving it.
You do. Yeah.
And as for Car of the Year, it's a very worthy finalist as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we shall wait and see if that will be the case.